Legend. Wait for it, Daryl.
Hey guys, it's me, Legend. Wait for it, Daryl. And today is going to be a new episode of my channel series, The Top 10 Interesting Things You Might Not Know. And we're going over the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We have a lot to go over, so let's get started. 10! So here's a fun and simple fact about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 2. It's actually the first season to have more episodes than its Super Sentai counterpart in both Zyuranger and Dairanger. That is such a flex, and the thing is about Season 2 is that almost all those episodes slap. 9! And speaking of Dairanger, because Season 2 was utilizing a majority of their Zord footage from that season, you don't see a lot of the Dragonzords, and when they do use it, it's just a stock footage of the Dragonzord by itself, and you never physically see the Dragonzord touch an enemy. This is because the Dragonzord does not appear at all in Dairanger, so they basically had to cleverly cut the footage together to make it look like the Dragonzord was there with the other Thunderzords. 8. And once again, on the topic of Dairanger, do you know a really funny fact is that the White Ranger, our beloved Tommy Oliver, that his Super Sentai counterpart was played by a child. That's right. So when you're wondering how come Tommy is jumping up and down and high on actually more energetic than usual, or doing that obnoxious laughing in the cockpit, it's because he's played by a child. That's right, his Sentai counterpart was a child. That's an interesting fact. 7! Another interesting fact you may not know is that this is the first season to ever have an original main villain, and that of Lord Zed, played by none other, and then, rest his soul, Robert Axelrod. Lord Zed had an extremely menacing and terrifying design. He didn't have a Super Sentai counterpart of his own. He was in fact so terrifying and so menacing that there were numerous complaints to dial down how evil and scary and gruesome this character was in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And this is such a cool flex for him being the first of an original villain in Power Rangers history. 6! And speaking of epic and interesting facts, because of the immense popularity of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Saban, when they decided to extend the series, hit up Toei to create brand new original footage from Zyuranger, titled Zyu 2 by American and Toku fans at the time. It included more scenes that would incorporate elements from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, such as the Rangers looking at their wrists to hone in when they were talking on their communicators, to even the Green and the Pink Ranger interacting more because Tommy and Kimberly were in a relationship. 5! And here's a big fact. Before even considering even using the Dairanger footage and having those Zords, concept art was used for upgraded versions of the Dinozords. Yes, there would be a White Tiger incorporated Megazord for that concept footage, but eventually the decision was made just to splice the Dairanger Zord footage with original American footage from Season 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. 4! Now this fact is really complicated, but it's still one of the more interesting facts. I have no idea what is going on with my hands. And that is, of course, why they didn't use the Dairanger suits in this season of Power Rangers. One, the idea never even occurred to them to have used new suits because they hadn't been in that phase of Power Rangers yet. Another reason is simply it's a marketing one. From what I've been told from old producers and people who used to work on the show, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was one of the most popular children's franchises in the world. Toys R Us, Walmart's, you name it, had toy aisles stocked with them. They had a movie coming out, so it only made sense to them to keep the original, more popular suits out instead of just changing things all of a sudden. It would have been too difficult to adapt. That was the reason I was given, and it's also a reason that makes sense to me. So yeah, that's how come they never used the Dairanger suits. Until the White Ranger appeared. and then we just use the White Ranger suit. You have the other suits are gone. 3. So how about this? Imagine you get this brand new job, a dream job, after being cast in a role and after having your premiere episodes that introduce you filmed. You're immediately told to pack your bags, have your passports ready, because you're going to be in Australia filming your very first feature film. Because that's exactly what happened to Steve Cardenas, Karen Ashley, and Johnny Young, the Bosch. Yep, as soon as their introduction episodes and they had gotten their powers after the power transfer episode, they were shipped off with the rest of the cast to Australia to go film Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. 2. And speaking of the new Red, Black, and Yellow Rangers, we kind of have to talk about the old Red, Black, and Yellow Rangers, which was Walter Jones, Twee Chang, and of course Austin St. John. Because when they had left the series, instead of just disappearing them out of nowhere, it was decided to give them a whole little arc explaining why they had left and introduced the new characters. But because the actors decided not to stick around, they just used old stock footage and redubbed over their voices to explain why those characters were still there, and then when they went to a youth conference in the future. They didn't recast new actors to play them, they just dubbed over old footage, and that's an interesting fact. I thought it was an interesting fact. I didn't recognize it as a child, and I had to have someone explain it to me when I was a lot older.
1.
And here it is, the #1 interesting thing I took away from the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is that J.C. David Frank, the man who played Tommy Oliver for so many years, who would become the White Ranger this season, originally wasn't going to. That's right, Brad Hawkins, who would go along to later play Ryan Steele in VR Troopers, Savant's sister show, was originally cast, fitted for the suit, the whole 9 yards. He was originally going to be the White Ranger. Why that didn't happen? Well, when Jason David Frank had filmed his pilot for what called Cybertron, which was originally what VR Troopers was going to be, somehow fate saw fit to actually have them switch roles. Brad Hopkins would go along to lead and star in VR Troopers, and J.C. David Frank would stick around for Power Rangers simply because Tommy was just too popular, and no matter how many times they tried to kill this character off and take away his powers as the Green Ranger, fans just wanted him back. So the decision was smartly made to keep Tommy in Power Rangers and give Ryan Steele, push him away into VR Troopers. And that is kind of how history was made and stayed into this day. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the top 10 interesting facts, at least for me, about the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now guys, do you have any interesting facts about the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that you know that I missed entirely? Comment below, let me know. Also feel free to like and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Those are the social media platforms that I typically use most of the time. More interesting videos are coming. Thank you for your patience, guys. Make sure you have a super mega day and you stay classy. Aya! Or at least I thought it was a good video. Or at least I thought those facts were interesting.